What's up? We are the faces and people behind Central Disc Company out of Central Michigan. Brand new company. We're excited to get things started. So we want to talk today about what's in our bags as avid disc golfers. So you get to know us a little bit, know what we like to throw. And very soon here, we're going to have some products available for sale. So we're excited about that. My name's Tori.
And I'm Craig.
We're going to start going through our bags. I'm going to start with my putters. I have 4 putters that I carry on a regular basis. 2 mainly for upshots, one of which is the soft magnet that I got from a buddy of mine, Jay Moldenhauer. Great guy. He stayed with my wife and I, and he gave me a couple of these, and I started throwing them for the first time. Absolutely loved them. They stick and they stay. They go really straight. So that's my one upshot putter. Then I have the old Discraft Zone, which is great for reliable, overstable upshots. I also putt with 2 CT Challengers. This one's my inside the circle putter, Circle Samp from the Ledgestone Open in 2015. It's max weight, so it doesn't get quite as squirrely if it's a little windy out. But I also don't use it so much outside of the circle because I have this lighter weight one that has a little more float to it. So I can pop it out and let it ride a little bit further when I'm looking at like a 40 or 50 footer. So this one was a little bit older, a little bit lighter weight, but still a great putter, and that's why I still have it in the bag. So those are my putters.
And I bagged 3 putters. Much like Tori, Discraft Zone. Really can't beat it, especially into a headwind. Holds up really nice for me. Dynamic Disc Judge. This one's a little bit more beat up. Use this for upshots, and if you're anything like me, maybe you searched for a putter that fits you just right for a long time. I know for me, I putted with buzzes for a long time because I couldn't find a disc that I really like to putt with. And then Tori actually gave me my first Judge this spring, and instantly knew that I was going to like it. That was a prime mold, and switched to a classic blend, and just really love these discs. Use this one for upshots, and then this one here I use for my primary putter.
Cool. On to mid-range stuff, I have a Buzz family in addition to some other things. I have this limited edition Buzz GT. I've liked this one a lot lately because it gives your thumb a natural spot for a little hyzer flip shot that goes really straight and finishes left. So this is kind of like my overstable Buzz right now. It's max weight. But I do have this Buzz OS, which is obviously more overstable. This is like a longer zone for me. It's the Metal Flake Crystal Z from the Memorial in 2015. Super nice and flat, and just is a real meat hook of a disc for those really tough overstable shots or something really hard into the wind that isn't very far. I've got my older beat up max weight Z Buzz that is straight to turn over for me. If I put a lot of snap behind it, it turns over really quick for some little cut rollers or something like that. But 80% power or so on a hyzer flip, it goes straight, tails off a little bit to the right, finishes straight. And then this TI color shift Buzz that I have. This is an Ace disc. I got an Ace last month with this. Craig was there to witness it. My first Ace ever, and it was a great day for me. My first Ace, but the TI Buzz for me goes straight, a little bit of a left finish. So that's my Buzz family. I also bag a Comet for some nice long glidey approaches that I don't think I can get to with a putter. The Comet's a great disc once you learn how to throw it. It's big diameter, heavy, but it goes a long way, has a lot of glide. Then I have a Discraft Nebula, which kind of overlaps with my Buzz OS and my overstable Buzz a little bit, but I used to throw the Nebula a lot, and I picked up another one, so it went in the bag just kind of for nostalgia, if nothing else. And then lastly, I throw 2 Truths, a regular Truth and an EMAC Truth, both of them pretty heavy. And I like the Truth a lot because it goes a little bit farther than the Buzz while maintaining a similar flight. So if you need something a little bit more out there, you can throw a Truth. But I still throw Buzzes just as much, and the Truth comes out of the bag a little bit less often. But I love the plastic and I love the mold. And then lastly, a Discraft Stratus X. I use this for real short, quick turnovers that I throw instead of forehand sometimes because my forehand isn't all that strong. But this is a disc that I always will have in my bag just because it's useful as a utility disc. That's my mid-range lineup.
Yeah. You're going to see a lot of crossover probably between Tori and I's bag just because we like a lot of the same stuff, which I guess if we're going into business together is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
So, like Tori, I've got a Buzz OS here. He told you what it does. Disc that, honestly, I wish I threw it more. I bought it thinking I was going to throw it a ton and really just Haven't gotten in a ton of situations where I use it. I'll use it off the tee, probably more than anything. But I find myself using the zone a little bit more than this disc, but still a good disc to throw into a really strong headwind. I know what it's going to do. And then I've got a Z-Buzz that I got at a tournament a few weekends ago, a Jaybird Z-Buzz, and then an ESP Buzz that is pretty beat up, goes pretty good right for me. Both just really good discs. This ESP Buzz, my brother-in-law actually found, and I traded him for it because I just like the looks of it. Honestly, I think it's one of those discs that everybody has them in their bag. They just love the look, the feel. Don't throw it as much as I want to, but it's a disc that I can go 2 or 3 weeks without throwing and pull it back out of the bag, and I know exactly where it's going to go. So those are what I've got for buzzes right now. And then I've also got, like Tori, I've got 2 Truths, regular Truth, EMAC Truth. This regular Truth, I loved it at the start. I threw it all the time off the tee, and as it started to get more beat in, it starts going more and more right, and so it's kind of finding its way out of my bag right now. Not really throwing it a ton anymore, just because I'll throw it real easy and it just goes straight right on me. Picked up an EMAC Truth that is 179, I believe. Pretty heavy disc that, honestly, right now is pretty still overstable for me. Another disc that I like to throw into headwinds that I know what it's going to do for me. It holds a pretty dead straight line, and then it crashes off to the left for me. And then I also bag a Comet, much like Tori, actually the same stamp as Tori, that I just got on a trade from a friend a few weeks ago. Haven't thrown it a super ton, but what I have thrown, I've really liked. And then I also bag an ESP Comet, or an ESP Meteor, sorry, that was the ESP Comet. ESP Meteor, and this is a shot that I really use for big anhyzer shots. Anything that I need to go right, I'll throw the Meteor, and I know exactly where it's going to go.
Cool. All right, well, on to fairway drivers. I have 4 fairway drivers that I use, with 2 of them taking the majority of the reps. My go-to right now is this Big Z Rainbow Stamp Undertaker. It actually replaced the T-Bird in my bag that has been in my bag since I basically started playing disc golf. Just because as soon as I threw it, I got that same familiar flight, the same reliability. Threw it in a bunch of different wind conditions as soon as I got it, and I knew that it was going to be something that I loved. So I took the T-Bird out because this is a little bit faster, a little glidier, and it's a great complement to the Z Undertaker. This is a first run that I have that's a little bit more beefy, that I can throw into a headwind and have confidence that's not even really going to turn at all, which I was pretty amazed when I got this one. So that's my Undertakers. Those take up most of what I use from a fairway standpoint. I do have this tournament stamped ESP Avenger SS. This is for good tight wood situations at low power to flip up, bend some lines, or if I throw it really hard, a cut roller. Then I have this ESP XL, which is very similar to the Avenger SS, but it's not nearly as understable. But I use it for the same thing, through the woods, bending some lines. But I know the XL is going to check up and come back at the end. I love the XL. I used to have an XL, took it out of the bag a long time ago because I never really gave it the chance. But I like the ESP Plastic a lot better. It's a slightly bit faster, and it's a little bit more understable too for those real precision lines through the woods.
So I mentioned that I traded my brother-in-law for that ESP Buzz, and I traded him a Z Heat. Traded it to him, and it was one of those trades where you instantly know that you shouldn't have done that because you want that disc back. And I tried everything that I had to trade him back for that disc, and he loved it. He didn't want to trade it back. So I ended up going and picking up another one. This Z Heat, I love this disc. Not a ton of guys that I know throw it, but it's a disc that I can throw pretty lightly, and it just goes dead straight, and it just glides forever. Any tight shot through the woods that I need some distance, or any tunnel shots, I reach for the Heat. So, and then like Tori, first run Z Undertaker, I've got 2 of them here, and really just have the second one in case I lose this one. Like Tori said, he's not the strongest at forehand throws, and to be honest, I suck at them. So this is really the only disc that I throw forehand because it's got a smaller rim, we've got smaller hands. It just feels more comfortable throwing it forehand, and love these things. I had a Glow Undertaker that I lost, and really wish that I still had it because Undertakers, you can't really beat them. So
yeah. onto our distance stuff. I carry 6 distance drivers. Some of them are a little bit more warp speed, quote unquote, than others. So I'm going to start with my most long-standing disc in my bag, the Predator. Had the Predator for a long time. It is something that I just know I can throw hard, and it's never going to turn over. It's always going to finish hard left. I've been using it a lot for skip shots, but headwinds primarily. So that's my Predator. I have this Flex Surge SS. The Surge SS is one that I've fallen in love with because it gives me a little bit of forgiveness off the tee, where I know I can miss my line a little bit, and it's going to give me a little bit of turn, but it's going to stay true enough to always finish left. The Surge SS, unlike some of the other SS molds, is really still pretty stable. It just gives you a little bit more turn, and the Flex plastic helps with that too. Then I have 3 cranks. Cranks are by far my favorite distance driver. I have this First Run ESP that just goes dead straight for me. My longest drive ever was with this driver. It was about 505 feet, or 485 feet, I should say. And this just bombs. It's like a perfectly seasoned nuke with a slightly smaller rim, which is nice for me because I don't have really big hands to grip the real wide rim stuff. So I love the crank. So I backed it up with another ESP crank that I throw mostly as a backup, but it's a little bit more stable than the pink one. And then this big Z crank for really long turnover shots that I know will check up at the end. There's one hole at the local course that we play most often at that's just a big downhill 515-foot hole that I can throw out down the hill and know it's going to give me a long distance line that checks up back at the end towards the basket. So that's what I use that mostly for. And then I do bag one somewhat lightweight ESP Force just for that reassuring, overstable distance shot off the tee. If there's ever a breath of wind or anything like that, I know that I can trust the Force and it's going to go farther than the Predator for me. So that's my lineup of distance drivers.
Yeah, disc that I just started throwing here in the last few weeks. Avenger SS ESP mold disc that is pretty understable. I was throwing a Dynamic Disc Freedom for a while. It's got a little bit bigger rim. It's a lot more flippy. It'll go a lot farther right. I had to throw it a lot slower than I can throw this thing. And I just recently started transitioning to this. It's got a smaller rim, like I mentioned. I like smaller rim drivers, and I can throw this a lot harder than I can throw the Freedom, and it doesn't just tank right. It'll give a nice big S-curve. Throw it, downwind, and it'll carry for a really long time. Really reliable disc. This winter, I was trying to make the switch over from other companies to Discraft, just because I like a lot of their stuff. And so I was talking to Tori about drivers, what I should go to, what I should try out. And he recommended the crank, as he obviously has. And so I bought this Z crank in January as a birthday gift to myself. And I went out in January in Michigan. It's pretty cold out still. I tried to throw this thing, and you just don't get the flex at all out of these things. They don't turn at all in the winter, and I hated this thing at the start. It basically was just a meat hook disc. I told Tori, why would you recommend getting a crank? This is the worst thing ever. But as it started to get warmer here, this thing started to flex more. It started to get a nice S-curve for me, and really just love this disc. I love it so much that I backed it up with 2 ESP cranks, and mainly I bought this one first, and it's starting to get beat in. It's starting to go more right for me, and just picked up this other one on a trade. This is fresh. It doesn't turn quite as hard right, but they're both still my go-to drivers right here. If I'm going to reach for any driver, it's going to be this pink ESP crank any day, hands down. Favorite disc. Just picked up a big Z crank in the mail. Just got it yesterday, so I actually haven't thrown it, but everything I've read says it'll fit nicely between the ESP and the Z. So really excited to try throwing this thing out this week. Next up, I bag an ESP Surge, which honestly I bought 2 of these off a guy online, and I thought I was going to love these things. I thought that they were going to be like the greatest thing, and really I just don't like them very much. So really, honestly, right now, this is just a placeholder in my bag so that my discs don't tip a bunch. Maybe you like the Surge a lot, and if you do, let me know. I've got 2 or 3 of them I can sell you. But just not really a huge fan of the Surge. This one's a little bit better because it's more beat in. It turns a little bit for me, but the other one's just a little bit too much overstable disc for me because I don't have a huge arm, and so can't really get it to turn like I need to get maximum distance. And then speaking of overstable disc, I bag an ESP Force, which is just a meat hook disc that if I need a really big hyzer shot, this is what I'm going for. Because I know I can throw it as hard as I want, and I know where it's going to finish. It's going to finish hard left. So, yeah, that's my bag.
And that's us. We are the faces and people behind Central Disc Company out of Mount Pleasant, Michigan. We're looking forward to what the future has in store, not just for our company, but for disc golf here in Central Michigan. Our desire really is to be a hub and a first-class resource for disc golfers in the area, and we're well on our way to becoming that. So look out for some inventory, some discs specifically from Discraft for us to start, and some apparel, some shirts that we're selling as we get started up to raise some funds. But really just keep an eye on our Facebook. If you go to facebook.com/Central Disc Co., you can find us, you can like our page and keep up to date with stuff like this, and much, much more. We'd love to connect with you. So get in touch with us there. Once again, my name is Tori.
I'm Craig.
And we are Central Disc Co. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
It's